It is recording. Okay, here we go. What if I told you all the man behind Spider-Man, Iron Man, and the Avengers almost gave up before he created any of those characters? Today, I'm going to be telling you all about Stan Lee, one of the most influential writers of all time and the iconic co-creator of Marvel Comics. First, we're going to look at where he started, how he got his foot in the door with comic books, how he changed storytelling forever, and what type of legacy he has left behind. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, Stanley Martin Lieber was born on December 28th of 1922 to a Romanian family of immigrants in New York City. His early life was very much defined by the Great Depression. They did not have a lot of money. They lived in a one-bedroom apartment, and his dad was a dress cutter. By age 16, Stan Lee got his first job at Timely Comics. He was an assistant. He just filled inkwells for writers, and he also got people lunch. So he wasn't doing anything very glamorous at the start. But within 3 short years, he became co-editor of Timely Comics. So he moved his way up pretty quick. Now, despite achieving pretty fast success in that field, he didn't love the types of comic books he was making. You have to remember back then, the only real superhero comics were DC comics, and anything outside of that was not very successful. So he was really, I guess, depressed working there. He didn't love it, and he was telling his wife he thinks he's going to quit because he doesn't like the types of comics they're making there. His wife, Joan, offered him the best advice he's probably ever gotten in his life and said, hey, if you're going to quit, you might as well just try making the types of comics you want to make. What do you have to lose? And so he went ahead and took her advice and made a few comics. And some of those comics happened to be Spider-Man, Iron Man, and the Fantastic Four. And before those comics existed, it was mostly like alien superheroes like Superman, or people who are invincible like Superman, gods, mythical people. Like, they didn't have real world problems and weren't super relatable. Like, their story was just fighting villains all the time. So Stan Lee thought that was boring, and he wanted to change superhero comics forever. So Peter Parker had to worry about paying rent. Iron Man was really arrogant, had a lot of flaws, and the Fantastic Four was a family that fought like cats and dogs all the time. And then later on, even he got a little bit deeper with it when around 1963, he created the X-Men. And their whole story is, they're mutants who protect society, but society hates them and treats them terribly. And that was very inspired by the civil rights movement that was happening in the United States at the time. So I think anybody who sits down and watches X-Men can pick up on that pretty quickly. And I think it was also just this very iconic, bringing these like very real world scenarios and situations that are really deep and putting them in comic books, which, kids read and can, see themselves in. So I think that was really iconic. And I think Stan Lee's the first person to really do that. And I think that's part of why his legacy is so great. Stan Lee did pass away November of 2018, but what he built didn't go with him. We have the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. That is the most profitable, successful film franchise in history. It has grossed over $30 billion worldwide, and it's still grossing more. It's not done. Obviously, there's still new ones continuing to come out. So he left behind a huge legacy, and it was more than just like box office numbers. Everyone knows that quote, with great power comes great responsibility. It sounds just like a movie quote, but I think for Stan Lee, it was more of a philosophy. And I think it's something that shaped his career and his life. And I think he intended for that. I think it was very intentional. So he was a kid from Great Depression era New York. He was embarrassed by his own name, Stanley Martin Lieber. He went by Stan Lee because he thought, I'm not going to be doing comics forever. I'm going to move on to more serious work. And he almost quit. But he didn't. And he instead built a massive universe from his humble start at Timely Comics to all the characters that he created with all of their deep meanings and problems that, us regular people can relate to. And the franchise is still running almost a decade after his death. Stanley's story is proof that with the right idea, told the right way, you can outlast everything. And for a man who almost quit, I think that says it all. Thank you guys so much for coming today.
Good job, Phil.
Thank you.
Good job, Phil.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Let me
You
know
too.
if you
Bye bye.
need help again.
For sure. Thanks.
All right. Bye.